Right. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Okay, okay. We'll just start a little bit of loosening. Up and down. And just let the heat settle. And a little bit swing in front and back. Okay, good. Take it inside to side. And it's a little bit of rotation. And take it inside and outside. And just taking the directions any way, mix them in a little bit. Keep going. Just got something crawling across my wall. What is that? Okay. Some kind of millipede crawling across my back wall. Anyway, we'll take this into a little bit of extension flexion. So you're going to reach up, pull up onto the toes, and then as you flex down, bring in the back of the legs together as much as you can, and then bring in the hands up at the back of the movement. So nice big extension. Now take a deep breath in. A little bit of a back bend as you come up, and then coming down into a low squat. Let the head start to come down, all down to the back, and just follow the breath with it. So nice deep breath in. All right up, deep breath out as you come down. Just working through the maximum extension into maximum flexion. Great. There we go. Good. And then a little bit more of a relaxing one. Set the feet a touch wider. In this case, you're going to bring the hands up. Don't go into so much of a back bend. Think about stretching up, opening. And then as you release, just release the arms down. Let them kind of brush against the ground. A few seconds there. When you want to breathe in, shoot the hands up to the top, and then the release is down with it. Yeah, just releasing through the head, release the shoulders. Nice deep breath in, and then release it down. Let it settle. When you want to breathe in, shoot the hands up, release it down. Depending on how dynamic you do it, you can do kind of in with the nose, out through the mouth. Do it a little bit slow. You can probably maintain the nose. Breathe in as you do it. Also just contrasting the movements with a nice forceful in-breath. Nice relaxed out-breath. And then just taking the feet a little bit closer together again, take the arms out to the side. This one, nice long extension up. Big full breathing up, really spreading open the rib cage here. And then let the hand pass through. And then just gonna hinge the body down from the neck. As you breathe out, hinge all the way. If you feel any kind of tightness in the legs, or particularly if it's painful, just start to bend the knees through this, but you can keep them straight. And then just draw up again, just draw up through the spine, zip up through the body, pull the head long. As the head goes long, bring the hands back out to the side. Big, full, expansive breath up. And then you should descend through it, breathing out. Really extending out the exhale. Just a few times with that one. You can also, if it feels comfortable, also kind of keep the breath, hold the breath at the end of the motion in that bottom portion of the movement, but only if it feels comfortable. If you really need to breathe in that position, take a couple of breaths through it. But what you can also explore is just hanging the body in that position. So take a big breath, use the breath out. And just play with a little bit of mobility at the full hinge, releasing particularly the shoulders, the head. Next time you come up, just hinge up to the knee, just stop in there at the kneecap, and then just think about pulling the back straight as you can, this one, and then keeping that pressure in the hands. Just think about bowing the back up and bowing the back in. So you go into cat-cow, keep a little bit of tension again, a little bit of pressure in the hands. Concentrate really on the upper spine. And also again, really play with the breaths. You probably feel if when you go into the curved position at the top, like a breath out, and as you breathe in, into the expansion, but you can actually play with both breaths in this case. So one thing you can also experiment is hold the position and take a couple of breaths as you do it. Just look to expand around the rib cage as you go through it. And just keeping that pressure a little bit in the hands. Use it just to open up the spine. Great. Also the position of the heads can also kind of affect the whole spine. Good. And then from that, just if you place the hands just thumb side into the clavicles, think again about kind of pulling the back along. Keep a little bit of a bend in the knee in this one. Think about just drawing the head a little bit wide, as if you're trying to draw the head away from the tailbone. And then in this case, just very gently hinging down and pulling back up. Hinging down, pulling back up. As you're doing it, just check the contact with the feet in the ground. So you want really the ball of the foot pressing into the ground strongly. The outside edge of the foot really strongly in connection with the ground. And the heel, obviously. So really fully pressing them down, keeping that length of the body. Pull up. You probably feel with this one the breath. Jerry's going to be kind of breathing up as you come up into the movement. So breathing in as you come up and breathing out as you go down. And kind of a really active core as you hinge down. And use that expansion just to pull the body up as well. Just, if you've got a kind of heavy rucksack on the back, hinging the hips, bending the knees, keeping the body nice and straight in the torso. Good. Good. And then just another hand position with this one. Let the legs go a little bit wider and add a little bit of rotation out. We're going into a little bit of a squat later with it. Take the pinky side of the hand, the little finger side, press it into the hip bone. And think about just gently pulling the thumbs away, so you can just slightly externally rotate the shoulders. Pull out, and then just think about that same hip hinge, but just take it a little bit deeper. So you're going to start to pull the hips back rather than just a kind of hinge down with the torso. Think about a pull back with the hip, and then pull back into neutral. So you're just going to kind of squeeze the hips back. Again, keep that good, strong ground contact, and then pull back into it. Again, using the breath with it. You probably feel this one. You want to kind of breathe in big. Just hinge in the hips, keep the knees unlocked. So hips go back, knees go back, very gently. And see if you can keep this very subtle. In this case, I'm just to the side of the hip bone, and I'm just focusing on pulling the thumb just externally away. So you feel a really strong forearm activation as well, hopefully, with this one. And the back, the shoulders nice and wide. And just using that pressure in the hands just to also play with expansion of the torso and the rib cage here. Good. Okay. And then this is called a squinge. So this is a hinge into a squat. So it's a hinge to a squat. It's called a squinge. So start with that hand position. In this case, rather than the hands being in this position, just allow them to chop into the hip. So they're going to add a little bit of pressure back with the hip. And then to go into the hinge, start to feel that the knees start to bow out. So a little bit of pressure down. And then think about the body coming down with it. As you go down, just let the hands trace across the inside of the knee. Take it as far as you can with the foot flat, and then as soon as you feel that the heel wants to raise, you might have the mobility to go into a little bit deeper, but as soon as you feel the heel wants to raise, start to bring the hands out and just set into the squat. Reach out a little bit and then sink the hands down with it to the ground. And then the third position from here is just to straighten the legs again, so put a little bit of pressure into the hands, straighten the legs out, find the heel again, and then nice and easy, just pull the body up back to standing. And just set the feet back in, set the hips back into the feet so that they're aligned. So the full thing's like a chop back. It's a bowing out of the knees as the hips descend, and then reaching out into the squat. And then as you reach the hands down, just let the heels start to reach off the ground if you need to, and you're just looking to go into as deep a squat as you can. Press into the hands, pull the legs nice and long. You can keep the head down with this pattern. And then just think about tracing up through the legs, all the way up, let the hips set back into alignment with the feet. So it's a hinge, bow out, reach down, lengthen to the back, pull the body up. We'll just do a few there. So so you should get the coordination for it. You can also start to just bring it all together. So hinge back, bow, bring down into the squat, reach, forward, lengthen up, pull the body up. And just check in as you're doing it with the breath work. As you do it, just trying to bring it into alignment with the movement. Keeping the breath full. Hips back, squat down, reach the ground, lengthen up. Really nice pattern of the body. Great. And then good. Next one, just take your time with this as you come back up to it, just roll back into the shoulders. So just take the shoulders. You can also keep the hands in contact just with the lower thigh, or the upper thigh, sorry. And just rolling through them. Just really try and get into the scapulars. Just nice and a little bit slow. You open them up. Take a little bit forward. And this one, just keep the hips neutral and just playing with rolling, alternating. So the focus a little bit more on the thoracic spine. The hip can release with this one, and then you start to minimize the work of the upper spine. So just play with keeping the hips a little bit forward. The tension again down the legs. And rolling right through the shoulders. Trying to mobilize around the spine. Stop it at the side of the body. Keep the feet on the ground with this one. You reach over with one hand, and the lower hand, reach it across the body. So there's a little bit of pressure with this hand across, and a little bit of pressure out this way. So think about kind of squeezing the hands apart. Keep the feet again strong in the right. Pull to one side, and then take it to the other side. So you can squeeze the hands out and away. Again, the idea is to open up the side of the body. So you're just going to reach out, full extension with that top hand. Full extension with the bottom hand, and keeping the feet down, just going to allow you to find a little bit of pressure through that lengthening. Very nice. Right. Good. Good. Just taking the arms up, about 90 degrees, loose fist. Start to work with the feet down, flat. And then once you feel stable with it, just start to let that back of the opposite leg start to mobilize out the ground. Key with this is feel that you're spiraling the weight still in between the feet, in the ground. Spiraling down and let the elbow, let's extend that a little bit more. Pressure out, bring it back. Spiraling weight down. Rotating through the upper spine. Good. Just rolling out the hips a little bit. Yeah, just play with the position of the hands. In this case, you can have the hands on the side of the hip. Also nice positions just at the back. And adding a little bit more focus to the front of the movement. So a little bit of pressure from the hands. Pressing in. And really feeling the hip. Able to really switch across the body. So passing the movement from hip to hip. Particularly that front portion movements are nice. Bit of flexibility to unlock mobility. Good. And taking a few to the side. Good. We'll go back into that squinch position, but we go into a back reverse lunge with it. So if you start with a little bit of space behind you, just find that low hinge, low squat position, hands down on the ground. Now, rather than lengthening the legs up to the top, take one leg back with it, keep the hand down, and then you're going to roll through the spine. So roll through the spine and reach up to the top. Pull back the leg into that squat. And then take the other leg back, reach up into it, and down. And you can either continue with it or just step up in between, give the legs a bit of a break between it. So you want to be entering that low squat, taking one leg back, reaching up with the hand towards the ceiling, really open up the spine, bring it back, shift the leg back, walk the other one back, reach up with the other side, and then come back to base with it. And again, if you want a bit of a pause between it, just bring yourself back into that low squat, stand up with it. Okay, and if you... Yeah. And a few details with this to play with. As you're in that low squat, think of the front heel off the ground. So you can take that front heel off the ground. It's going to allow you to kind of flex a little bit more into the hip. And as you go into this rotation, the extended leg out to the back also play with the ability of this hip to start to roll towards the rotation where so this hip can also start to open up. And you can start to play with again, really open up the hip work here. And then pull it back to it. So front heel's a little bit off the ground, or front heel's off the ground. And then that back hip can also play with rotating the same way as the shoulder as you reach up with it. And then pull back to it. Just do a couple more, but again, if you want to pause with it, pull the feet back up, and back into the position. Perfect. Good. So wherever you are with that, just pull back into that low squat position, press the hands into the ground, lengthen the body up to the top with it. Good. And just start to trace up the legs with it, nice and slow, pull it to standing. All the way up. Let the hips settle back into the feet. Good. Good. We'll just do a little bit for the wrists, just shake them out at the top. Release the fingers. Do a little bit up and down motion. That's a nice kind of full mobility drill. Take the little bit of pressure out with the fan, a little bit of tension. Bring the hands pointing in. Let them go out. Let them go round underneath. And as you do it, kind of like a hook position. Make a fist in between, and then spread the hands out at the top. As they go back to horizontal, we go in, out, roll around, extend out to the top. And again, it's a nice one to do really slow, and you're looking to really kind of smoothen the movement out all the way. So the extension from the fist, and also that rotation through. You just want to really smoothen it out. If you notice any kind of kinks in the movement, you can either take it a little bit slower, you can just kind of reverse back through it. Just play with that area that feels a bit tight, and smooth it out. And then next one is just that same similar movement, but just a little bit bigger. So as you take it through the side, also start to go into the elbows at the back. So the fist position as you do, it's just going to cut across the side of the hip, and then the extension position is just going to stretch out a little bit more. So you go in with it, you roll around with it. Oh, so we're going the wrong way, that way, and then stretch out with it. So as you roll the hands around, you're rolling around the elbows, and then pressure out with it. So it's just to get a little bit deeper into it, and just to take it a little bit further into the elbows, into the shoulders, really kind of swimming motion with the body. And again, really slow is good, and smooth is the best thing. And again, if you feel any kind of kinks across it, just reverse it a little bit through that motion. Or if you feel one side's a little bit tight, you can also just work that one side. This is because my right side's a little bit tighter. I'm just gonna work it a little bit more. And it's just then a little bit more hinge into it, so it's just going to take a little bit to the shoulders and the back. So as you do it, just pull the body into a hinge, and then as you do this, reach up and out and bow the body, bring the body back into extension. So you're coiling into it, reaching up and away with it, coiling into it, reaching up and away with it. So you're following that same pathway as before, from the wrist, elbow, now really into the shoulder, the spine and the hips. If you feel any portion of it's a little bit tight, just working that area a little bit, might be the shoulders, might be the hips. Play with it, and also play with the breath as well as you do it. Yeah, very good. Great. Very nice. And then the last one's just to release the shoulders and the hips. So it's just first one finding the shoulders, what we do a lot. So just feel as much as you can kind of release the stretch, particularly again working the shoulders release, and also releasing the weight down into the legs. So just a natural softening of the knee, just receiving the weight to the body. Key with this one, try and feel that you're not carrying the arm at all. So as soon as it makes contact with the body, just releasing down. Really a soft movement. Just try and feel the weight of the arm. And then just going to take it a little bit more to the torso, so the arm's just going to cast out a little bit more. Just side of the rib area, again, nice and light. You can also use the back arm, just gently making contact with the back of the spine, at the back of the ribs. And you just really play with the release of the body, much of the weight of the body releasing to the ground. And then just start taking a little bit lower, take it to the hip. And it's a little bit more of a cast out of the arm. Just tracing a slightly different path for the shoulder. Last one, just to keep the body, it's kind of loose but aligned in the body, so you bring the arms out to the side and just let them drop to the side of the body. It's just one thing to check on the shoulders, just that they can just release their weight back into the side of the body. And the other thing is that there is a release through the body, but what you want to do is really align the spine to the ground. So one tendency of this is to do something like kind of collapse the structure of the body, and then you can have a release into the spine. So think about keeping the spine long and then just dropping it. So again, you just want the weight of the body, the hair, the ribs, the torso, the organs, everything to just drop into the hips. It's going to be a softening of the knee. Here, a little bit of a slap on the body. Any of these. Nice. Just the last one, just do this slowly. So if you think of this as an exhale, rather than a kind of just a release down, think about just bringing the arms back to the side of the body. So if you imagine like a flap, like a very slow flapping motion of the body, and just feel the torso long, create a nice lengthened spine. Just take the exhale a little bit slower. The work's trying not to hold the structure of the arms, just to let it drop back in with the breath out. Slower the better. And just a less time with this one. Great. Good. And when your arms are back at the side, just take your time, find a bokken. I'll let you to move the behind. There we go. Take a bokken. We will do some suburi. Again, just coming back to this idea of again, not holding the structure of the arms, just letting them kind of drop to the body. Just start with a really neutral foot position. So they're just hips and feet under the hips. In this case, start with a really quite a loose grip position. So just want to feel the weight of the sword in the hands, and just play with a full arc up right to the back of the spine, and a full arc down with it. And again, just take your time with it. Use the breath, because it's quite a relaxed movement. You can also just explore, hopefully, nose breath in, out through the nose. And it's just again a check using the feedback of the weight of the sword, just to let the arms raise, lower. You want to be as calm, smooth as possible through the motion. Yeah, good. So there's really kind of two ways you can do both the raise and the cut. There's two kind of extremes of the movement. One is to like pull the tip of the sword out to the top, and the other side of that is to kind of cast the tip of the sword out as you go down this way and kind of stretch the arms out. The other side of that in both directions is to kind of pull the arms to the body and kind of bring the sword over the back, and then keep the arms tight to the body and pull them down this way. So there's kind of two extreme positions, and that they're both, if you think, we're kind of focused on either the tip of the weapon pulling over the top, or the back end of the weapon kind of coming down. Take your focus in this case a little bit to the center of the weapon, in which case my bokken's kind of weighted really to the handle side. So think about, in this case, just finding this position in between which is comfortable. Now, I don't want to cast the sword out, on either direction. I also don't want to kind of really draw it into the body this way, so just play with a nice clean arc with it. And what you're looking to do is just look for a nice extended arm position, but again, one that's not in an extreme position, one that's not kind of casting out and hyperextending the elbow, and one that's just not kind of crunch to the body. So you're just looking to open up the space basically from the elbow to the hip, and you're looking for a nice smooth arc. And I don't want to basically work in either extreme. I just want to focus on a nice clear arc, which again is kind of arcing up and away and out and down, but it's kind of working in a really a comfortable position for the shoulder basically. And you'll feel that more than ever, particularly if you go slow with it. So there's a practice in one sword school which is like a 10-minute cut, where you do you do the raise in 5 minutes, over 5 minutes, and you do the cut in 5 minutes, and you just take the cut as slow as you can over a very punishing practice. It's going to really focus the body to go into a kind of comfortable position. Okay, next one is you start to work in a more of a sealed grip position, but again, it's one that's going to allow particularly the mobility on the raise of the cut, and don't worry too much about the seal of the grip at the end. We'll come to that one next, but it's just to work with a little bit more of a sealed hand position. So you're coming up to the top. There's going to be more release at the top of the cut because, again, if I keep a grip really sealed, you're going to start to kind of experience tension across the shoulders, and the tendency with that is to start to crunch the spine at the top. So I'm looking for a grip which is flexible. In this case, just find that horizontal path with it. So you're working from a sealed grip position at the bottom of the cut, and just on to release as you come up, but it's just as you kind of pass over the shoulder. Once I'm not doing that portion of the movement in terms of cutting, I'm not going to kind of release the hands so much, but particularly for this one, as you're touching the spine, just allow the hands to soften basically as much as you need to release the shoulders out. Some people have a lot of flexibility in the shoulder, so they can actually maintain the grip. But particularly if I'm feeling kind of crunched in the shoulder, when I start to work with opening the grip. But just looking at the ability to again seal the grip and maintain the mobility, the wrist and the forearm, the elbows. And then just to work the grip a little bit, just play with, you're going to do this one side and then the other. So it's again working from that soft seal to a kind of full seal with the grip. So play with a contrast in this way, you kind of open the grip. The key is focus on the little finger and the ring finger and its ability to just release and then seal onto the grip. So what I'm looking to do is create a really strong seal from this portion of the hand to the ring finger and the little finger. And there's a very subtle squeeze down. The squeeze in a sense is coming from the forearm, the pressure in the forearm, and the pressure of the elbow down. So play with both sides. You can do a kind of pulse 3 or 4 one side, and then pulse 3 or 4 with the left side. It's the same grip that you're looking for on each side. You've obviously just got a different position of the hand, and later there's a little bit of function of the functional difference between the hands. But in terms of working that seal of the grip, you're just to create that strong connection to the back of the grip there. Yeah. Great. Just pulse one, pulse the other. Yeah, good. And then the real trick is to get them working together. So then just play with getting them really sealing together. Notice whether one's kind of faster than the other, and also notice whether one's stronger than the other. You probably feel your dominant hand's stronger. You just use it more. You just have more connection with it. It might actually be stronger. It might just feel stronger. So, but the key with this is actually a matter of timing. So it's just the issue of getting them to work together. Seal, seal, seal. And then every time you get it, just feel that there's a really strong connection between the hands. So a lot of the time the focus goes to the actual hand, but what you're actually looking for in terms of this is actually what's happening between the grip. So you think about a loop connection from the center through the shoulders, through the back of the shoulders into the grip, and you're sealing that connection through the sword. So you're creating a really strong circuit with the grip. And again, if one side's dominating it, you're going to start to pull that circuit. But you just want to create a really strong loop of connection between the body and the sword. This is a little bit tricky with the sword because you're actually asymmetrical with it. But that's just a little bit of the interesting part of it as well. And then with that, start to play with the hip. You've got a few motions you can do with this. Play with a little bit of one hip forward, one hip back, but not don't go too extreme with it. But the key with this is now work with that grip and just work with integrating the hip work into it. So it's just going to be a very subtle motion of the hip, very subtle motion here. And I'm just playing with, again, just playing with sealing it. You can shift both sides this way. You can also shift to different motions again. So what's important with this is not so much the direction of the sword, but it's actually, again, what's happening with that seal across the upper body, through the hands, through the handle of the sword. And again, what you're looking to do in this case is generate the motion, in this case, from the hip. So the hip's going to snap the connection out, the hands and the shoulders are going to receive it, and you're going to snap into it this way. And again, the center is what's going to pinning it all together. So the center of your body's going to motivate the movement and maintain the ability to motivate the movement better. Yeah, good. So it's quite easy to find in this kind of area because it's where the center is kind of strong. It's where the hands are basically closer to the center. It's a little bit tricky when you start to go out and away from it. So just explore it if you feel comfortable with it. But if you feel you're particularly kind of losing the arms and losing the shape and losing, again, that feeling of a circuit across the body, go back to a lower position with it. The easiest position to work with it, which is why we start with that sense of 𝘱𝘠𝘠𝗏, because you're working directly through the center line and you've got just a very clear direction, which is just kind of down this way. And as soon as you start to work in, again, like diagonal movements or away movements or like thrusting motions, that's where the connection's starting to be challenged. But again, play with it a little bit. It's just the ability to, again, seal that connection, but feel that it's really, again, strongly sealed and operating from the core of the body. So again, it's nice to just play a little bit with mobility once you start to explore it. Play with opening it up a little bit. But in the key feedback on this is what's happening after you seal it with the body. Wow. Yeah, good, great. Very nice. Good. Okay, and then specifically looking at footwork, think about placing weight through the feet as you do it. So again, the easiest one to play with, and if you get stuck with it, I always go back to it, is like a 𝘱𝘠𝘠𝗏 kind of work. So the feeling with that is then that front foot is landing weight into it, and as you find that seal, all the other cuts are the same in terms of like a 𝑦𝘠𝑗𝑢𝑘𝑢𝑚𝑒n coming to the side, but into the weight of the foot's going to enter the ground. The easiest patterns where you've already got one foot down and then you're just placing weight into another foot. So something like that, which again, it's like where we start within the first Suburi. That's kind of the easiest pattern. You've already got a strong ground contact and you're just pressing the weight into it. Or something like Zengo-giri, where you've got a strong ground contact and you're pressing weight into it. It gets a little bit tricky when you're starting to work with motion and starting to step with it. And yeah, it gets very difficult when you're starting to work with rotation work, particularly when you're asking the body to kind of leave the line of attack and you're looking to reground the body during that motion. But just play a little bit with the feet. So again, easy ones to play with if you think about kind of 𝘱𝘠𝑗u𝑢𝑘𝑢𝑚𝑒n work, settling into it. But again, you're just focusing now on the compression through the foot and really landing the weight through the movement. So hips are priority. They're going to kind of guide the feet and they're going to guide the hands. But just put a little bit of focus on the footwork. It goes a little bit like the adolescent stage as well. If you want, it's like you can stomp the feet a little bit. So it's also useful if you've not got neighbours below you, stamp the feet a little bit with it. So you've got a sense that I can really land the weight of it. And the key is that the body weight is going to drop into the ground. And I'm working with just a weighted body down with it. So if you want to get a bit of feedback on it, just kind of stomp the feet a little bit. It's going to give you a little bit of feeling of where the weight's been placed through the structure. As you get, obviously that gets a bit more subtle later, but just placing weight. That's a little bit of an odd timing in this case, but we'll look at that. Yeah. Good. Okay, and we'll just take this to a few patterns. Go back to the first Suburi, so a really simple one. If you want switch left and right, because it's the same kind of patterning with it, but the easy one to work with is the right. Just look at this issue in this case, which is coming fully up to the top, and then again sealing the weight into the ground with it. There's a very subtle rhythm in the body, which is that the feet are actually kind of landing before the strike. So the weight of the hip is landing just before the strike itself. Usually what we do is start, particularly with beginners, is we kind of get the hands and the feet working together. So you just have a sense of a one-timing through the body. Once I've got a reasonable coordination for that, I'm going to focus like lower body first. So there's a feeling that the hips arrive just before the focus of the cut. And that's so that the weight of the body can really be in the ground before the seal, rather than the sense that the body's arriving all at the same time. It's the sense that the lower body is actually the priority. So the lower body lands and then the weight's kind of coming through. But it's a very subtle rhythm through the body. It's just the fact that the legs are slower than the hands in this case. So I'm thinking basically the legs first, and I'm trying to get the hips to be grounded just around this area of the cut. So it's just before the seal comes in, and the body starts to be kind of reaching into the ground. It's that same work, so I kind of seal the grip together, kind of create that circuit feeling across the back, through the spine, into the sword. In this case, just playing with that weight entering through the feet. So just take this to a Zengo, so same idea with this one. And again, it's quite an easy pattern because as you establish this back foot, you've got that really strongly in the ground. Now the focus again is this foot as it rotates to the back, and then placing the weight through it. So you anchor in the back leg, and then you release into the cut this way. Anchor into the back leg, release the cut this way. But it's just a play of compression pattern through the feet. And again, the work is again, can I get the hands to seal together just at the right time as the hip engages. To the cut, through the foot. So again, you're just doing a really dense, heavy cut. Quite simple because you're working through the center line. You've got a very clear direction cutting down. Yes, that's great. Oh. Yeah. So we'll take this to a ski pattern. It's the same work. Think about really taking this weight of the body here. As you've got the weight landed, you're 50-50, and then you're just going to shift more weight to the back leg. and then thrust the sword forward with this one. You're looking for a really strong snap in this case. So you've got the focus in the cut. You're looking to kind of seal it in. There's a very sort of release and then a snap out with the sword. So take this to a Zengo pattern. So you can do this left side, right side. Don't worry too much about the rotation, but it's the feeling that I can seal into the cut here and then really use that to enter into the ski. So there's a feeling here. The weight again is going to kind of leave the leg as I press into it this way. So if you want again to feel the weight a little bit more, play with a little bit of the kind of stomping motion of the foot forward. But I want to feel that the foot is really there to anchor the hip in the ground, as I find that really so. So it's working with a ski pattern, left and right. Nice. Yeah. And the kind of test in terms of the ski work is this. So you create a strong seal with the hands, but feel that the elbows are still flexible. So this whole area is still kind of soft. But the problem is if I engage like the bicep area in this case, in the cut, and I do something like this, and this becomes tight, then this is a lot of where I do two things, and I either just push the arms away from the body with the ski, or I really have to release them. And then you get a kind of release of the contraction, and the elbows kind of pull to the body. So work with the feeling that you're in the back side of the arm through the cut, and then the feeling is that the elbow is still actually soft. So the elbow pit is still soft, and it just basically allows the squeeze of it. So it's a very subtle one, but it looks like often with this, the feeling that the bokken's been pulled back to the body and then pressed out. But it's actually it's the feeling in this case that the body's actually pressing into the sword, and with the releasing of the elbow, then I can find the extension back in. But the focus stays in the back part of the grip, and again, not pulling into the biceps and the trap muscle, the trapezius at the top. And then you're able to allow this to be extended away, but soft with it as well. So you're plugging into the cut, and then you're releasing out. So a little bit of quite a subtle movement, but it's a really nice one. And just to work that connection from the seal. Great. Last 30 seconds though, just want to loosen up and also just play with connection to the grip. So if you find a shoulder width, you're just going to raise and settle the heel. Raise and settle the heel. If you can't with that, just play with pressing the weight down. So it's just a kind of relax through the knee, letting the weight settle. As you do that impulse down, just play with the grip. So you're just going to pulse the grip. Again, if you can raise the heel, you get a little bit more feedback on it. And you're just looking to settle through that pulse. With that strong pulse position, just checking where it's kind of going in the body. So when I feel that it's kind of that pressure down, it's really kind of going right into the full body. And I don't want to feel that it's kind of locked in the knees, locked in the hips. I think the rest of the body's just kind of static on top. So it's going to again create a strong seal from the ground, through the grip, through the sword. This is quite useful, and later if you take this to kind of kindergarten work. Just a nice one to play with, connection, feeling the ground, seal of the body. And lastly, just take a strong grip with it and just play with the pulse there, so you keep the grip, soften through the shoulders and elbows. Pulse the way down into the ground. Good. Great, good. We will stop right there. Great. arigato gozaimasu.
どうもありがとうございました。
Okie dokie. Thank you very much.